In this video I'm going to show you how to set up a Linux VPS MasterNode with a local cold wallet. This is the setup where you actually are using two machines. One of them is a VPS that you're renting, which is a VPS stands for Virtual Private Server. It's just a machine that you're going to be renting out in the cloud. And then you also have a local wallet, which is on your home computer, or you could also have the local wallet be another VPS machine. It's really up to you. But the simplest setup is just to have it running on your local machine at home. And so in this setup, you actually have two wallets running. The one that's running the MasterNode is out on the VPS, and then you also have a second wallet running on your local machine. And the wallet on your local machine is what contains the actual coins. So if somebody hacks onto your VPS machine, the one running the MasterNode wallet, they can't get to your coins. All they can really do, if somebody hacked onto it, is turn off your MasterNode. They can't get to your coins, they can't steal your coins. So this is really the safest method of the setup. So the first step in the setup is setting up your local wallet. In this case, I'm going to be running my local wallet on a Windows machine. You can also run on a Macintosh if you go that route, but for right now I'm going to show you the Windows setup. So what you want to do is you want to go to the Worx website, and I'm going to have all these links on the comments section down below. So you want to go to the Worx website to get your local wallet. Once you're on the Worx website, you're going to click this wallet link over here, and that will bring you to the Worx GitHub site. And the latest releases are always at the top, and you can always see the version number here. And I'm going to go for this first one here, which is, in my case, a Windows. So I'm going to go for the Windows. I'm going to save this onto the desktop. And now we have it here on the desktop. I'm going to extract it. You're going to want to extract this to what you want to consider your permanent location for this wallet. If you extract it here onto the desktop, it's always going to be on the desktop. This is basically the same as installing this wallet. This wallet is really just some executables, and installing it is just extracting these executables to a permanent location. So if you want to put it on the desktop, that's perfectly fine. I can have it there permanently. Or what I like to do is I like to put it out in, I go to my C drive, program files. The x86 is for 32-bit, this is a 64-bit Windows, so I go to program files, and I'm going to choose program files as my folder, and then in there I'm going to create a folder called Worx, and it's going to extract everything into that folder. I have this box checked, so when it's done extracting, it's going to open the folder for me. So in here we have the binaries folder, go in there, and Worx qt.exe. This is the executable, and what I like to do is I just like to send this to the desktop, which creates a shortcut on the desktop, and that's where I'm going to initiate running my wallet. So when I need to run my wallet, I'll run it from that link. You can put that link somewhere else. You can put it in your Windows area here, or I just leave it here on the desktop. One thing with a lot of these servers that I run into, I don't know if you run into this, but the newer servers, I need to go into the properties of these, and I need to unblock. Occasionally it'll block this file. So if you start trying to run this wallet and nothing happens, Windows has this option where it blocks this. So I'm going to unblock it, make sure it doesn't get blocked, and I did that on the actual executable. So now we have it installed, in a sense. We are going to run it for the first time. And the first time you run it, it's going to pop up a couple questions to you. Where do you want to create your default data directory? I would leave this, or where do you want to create your data directory? I would leave this in the default location, which is C users and there your username. I'm logged as admin right now. App data roaming Worx. You want to leave it here in the default just in case you ever need help with this. It's easier for you to find it. So that's why I install it just in the default. So leave it in the default, hit OK. And now we just let it load up. Once it's done loading, it's going to try to download the entire blockchain here. And if this gets stuck, you may want to go onto the Discord server and ask people if they have any nodes you can add to the config file. But if you hover over here, you can see that this is processing fairly quickly. So I'm not sure I need to do that. Another way you can quickly check if this synchronization is stuck is you go to Tools, Debug Console, go to the Information tab. Here you can see how many connections you have to the network. It shows we have 3, and it also shows the current block that I am on. So I'm downloaded everything up to this block so far. As long as this number is increasing, you are downloading the blockchain. So I wouldn't worry as long as this number is increasing. But if this number gets stuck, then you probably want, if it gets stuck for like a half an hour, you probably want to go onto the Discord server and ask some people what's going on. But this looks like it's downloading perfectly fine. I don't need to worry about that. What I can do is I'm going to move on to the next step while that's downloading, because we can start creating addresses while that's downloading. It doesn't get affected by that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple receiving addresses. The first one is this default address you get when you install the wallet. This one's perfectly fine for our first one. Our first one, I'm going to give it a label, so when you go to edit, you can change the label. The label is just a friendly name you give for this address. No one else knows what this label is, no one else can see it. You're the only one who can see it in this wallet. It's just a way to easily identify this address without having to memorize that entire thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this first address from exchange or from pre-sale, wherever you're getting your coins. So I'm going to be buying my coins on the exchange, so I'm going to create an address in here, and when I buy them on the exchange, I'm going to send them all to this address here. So I'm going to call this from exchange, hit OK. All I've done is change the label on it. This is just the address that it came with. So you can create as many of these addresses as you want. And if you're going to be buying from a bunch of different exchanges, you can create a bunch of addresses in here for each one. That way you can keep track if you want. It doesn't really matter. It's totally up to you. The next address I want to create, I'm going to create a brand new one. This is going to be my MasterNode collateral address. And I'm just going to call it MasterNode 1. It's my first MasterNode here. So just call it MasterNode 1. And this is what's called a collateral address. This is where you're going to send your coins to lock up in the MasterNode. And those coins are called collateral. And with Worx, it's 1,000 coins. So I'm going to be sending 1,000 coins to this address, exactly 1,000 coins. And that will be my collateral for the MasterNode. So when I go to the exchanges, I'm going to send all of the coins from the exchanges to this address. Once I have them in here, once I have enough, once I have at least 1,000, well, I would say more than 1,000, you probably want 1,001 coins. When you go purchase them on the exchange, you're going to want 1,001. And the reason being, when you purchase them on the exchange, you need to send them to your wallet. When you send them to this wallet here, you're going to pay a transaction fee. So if you purchase exactly 1,000 coins on the exchange and you try to send 1,000 coins here to your wallet, when they get here, you're only going to have 999.9999 coins or something like that, because you're going to pay that transaction fee. And then when you try to transfer them from this address to your final collateral address, you're going to pay another transaction fee. So when you're on the exchange, purchase 1,001 coins. You could probably get away with 1,000.5 coins or something like that. But I just go with 1,001, and that gives you plenty of change to do all kinds of transactions. So send your 1,001 coins to this from exchange. But you'll see in a later step, when we're ready, after we've collected all the coins, we're going to send them to our final MasterNode collateral address. But right now, I'm just setting these addresses up. We'll move on to that step here in a minute. So once we have our two addresses, what we want to do is we can close this window. First thing we want to do is we want to encrypt this wallet. And you want to encrypt the wallet, that way you can make backups of the wallet and you can store them places, and if anyone gets access to those backups, they can't steal your coins off that wallet if they don't have the password to decrypt the wallet. So this will make your backups safe by encrypting it. So we're going to just go and encrypt the wallet. And I'm going to give it a super simple password. You do not want to put a super simple password on here. And you want to make sure you don't lose this password. If you encrypt this wallet and you lose the password, you cannot get to the coins that are on this wallet. So make sure you remember what this password is and you keep it in a safe location. So I've created my password. You don't want to create something this short. I've only created this short because this is to show you how this works, and I don't want to have a big long password. And the first time you do this, it's going to say, make sure you remember what your password is. And when it's done encrypting, it's going to say, I want you to restart the wallet. So hit OK, let it restart the wallet. Well, actually, it closes the wallet. You're going to have to restart the wallet yourself. After it closes this, I always give it a few seconds to do some cleanup. Some of these wallets, when they close, they do some sort of back-end cleanup stuff. And if you try to reopen it right away, you might run into problems. So after you close it, wait, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Then you can open it right back up. And it's still downloading the blockchain, but that's perfectly fine. Because now we have an encrypted wallet, and we can tell because down here, if we hover over here, it says the wallet is encrypted and locked. And those are two different things. Encrypted means your wallet has a password on it. Locked is when you want to lock your wallet so no one can access it unless they use the password to unlock it. So the password will unlock it, but encrypted just means it has a password. So if I unlock the wallet, so I would just go to unlock wallet, put in my password. Now I still have an encrypted wallet, but it's unlocked, and it says that wallet is encrypted, meaning you can you have a password on it, so no one can steal that backup. But it's currently unlocked, so if somebody came in here and clicked the send button, they would be able to send my coins without putting in the password. So I only unlocked it to show you how that works, but in the future, when we start using the wallet, you're going to want to have the wallet unlocked for staking only. So I just locked it just now, and you can see I just locked it. And when you unlock it, after we have the MasterNode set up, you're going to want to unlock it, and you want to do it just for staking only. And what that does is it allows you to have it locked so no one can send your coins, but your wallet is unlocked so you can stake your coins. And it says there for you right now. It says wallet's encrypted and currently unlocked for nominalization and staking only. So that means if someone tried to send the coins, they would still have to enter the password. And that's what you want. So now we have an encrypted wallet. We have a couple addresses we need. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a backup of my wallet. Just go to File, Backup Wallet, and I'm going to save it on the desktop, and I'm just going to give it a quick name, which is just the name of the coin, and then a date. And I created that backup here on my desktop. What I'm going to want to do is put this backup somewhere safe, not on this computer. Because if you keep all your backups on this computer, if this computer goes down, you're basically lost your backups and your originals. It's futile. So you want to take this backup, put it on a thumb drive, throw it into a safe or somewhere, something like that. But don't keep the password in the same location as the backup, because then somebody has your backup and the password to get access to the coins in your backup. So you want to keep them in separate places. Put this backup .dat file on a thumb drive and put it in a safe. Make a copy of your password maybe and put that somewhere, or if you can remember that password, then more power to you, but I can't remember these passwords. So we now have an encrypted wallet and we have a backup. So our wallet is all ready to start sending coins to it. So what you want to do is you go to File, Receiving Addresses. Now you can go and check out your addresses that you created earlier, and you're going to want to right click this and do Copy Address from Exchange, and then you go to the exchange and then you send the coins to this address. So I would go out there and buy at least 1,001 coins and send them to here. You don't have to buy them all at once. You can buy a little bit at a time, put different buy orders in, And then once you have 1,001 coins, we'll move on to the next step. So I'm going to pause the video while I go purchase some coins, and we'll be back in a minute. Alright, we're back, and you can see here that I have sent myself 1,001 coins. I'm on the transactions tab, and you can see that I have sent 1,001 from the exchange. And right now it's has one of 6 confirmations, which means I can send this now to my MasterNode collateral address. So what I want to do is go to the Send tab and go to File, Receiving Addresses, so I can copy my MasterNode collateral address. Copy that address. And when you paste it, you see that it automatically filled the label. That way you know it's good. It's the same address that was on that other screen. So I want to send 1,000 coins exactly. So my balance is 1,001, and you can see here there is a transaction fee. So this is why you sent yourself a little bit more than 1,000 coins. And I suggest 1,001 just so you have a bunch to do lots of transactions if you mess this up. So in one single transaction, you want to send 1,000 coins to your collateral address. And that's what I'm doing here. My wallet is unlocked. Well, it's unlocked for anonymization and staking only. So you'll see when I try to send this, because it is locked, it's going to say you need to unlock it. So I need to unlock it, but I don't want to unlock it just for anonymization staking. I want to unlock it so I can send stuff. So I can put in the password now. It says, are you sure you want to send it? It's going to send 1,000 coins to this address, and there's going to be a tiny little transaction fee. And you want to say yes. So now, if you come back to your transactions, you can see that you have just paid yourself 1,000 coins. And you don't see the 1,000 amount here because the coins did not leave your wallet. They just transfer between addresses in your wallet. So you're only seeing the transaction fee. That fee did leave your wallet, went out to the miners. So this is my transaction to my collateral address. What I do need to do is wait for this transaction to hit 16 confirmations. So right now it hasn't even hit 1. So you're going to need to wait. If you want, you can wait for the 16 confirmations, or you can move on to the next few steps and move on with setting up the MasterNode while you're waiting for that. So now you can see it looks like it has made 1 confirmation, got 15 more to go. This is 1 of 6 recommended. That's just so you can trust that the transaction you made was accurate. So if somebody sends you some coins, you don't want to trust it until you've hit what the recommended number is. So once it hits 6, then you can say, okay, well, they definitely sent me those coins. But I know I sent them to myself, so I know I'm not scamming myself. So I sent them right away. So now I'm just waiting now for these 16 confirmations. And what I can do is I can move on to the next step of setting up the MasterNode. So I'm going to pause here. We'll move on to the next step. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you how to set up a Linux VPS MasterNode that runs on a VPS machine that you rent by the month, and you're going to run this Windows wallet that you see right now on your local machine, and the coins will be stored in this wallet, or stored on an address that is in this wallet, but they won't be stored out on the VPS. So if somebody tries to hack into your VPS, they can't get to your coins. And that's the beauty of setting it up this way, is the MasterNode backend process runs on the Linux machine, but your coins are here on your Windows machine and nobody can get to them, well, unless they hack into your computer. But the MasterNode address out on the Linux machine is going to be distributed. The IP address of that machine is distributed so people can try to hack into it. But if they hack into it, who cares? They can't get to your coins. But if you were running this locally, your IP address of your local machine would be out there, and somebody could try to hack in, and they could get to it. As long as your wallet is encrypted, they're not going to be able to get to your coins anyway, as long as you have a good password on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up that Linux VPS. And the way we're going to communicate with that VPS, I'll show you how to set that up in a minute, but we're going to use a program to communicate with the VPS called PuTTY. And PuTTY is The link to install PuTTY is down here in the comments section of this video. And we're going to open up this website, putty.org. And we're going to download this program here, PuTTY. PuTTY is an SSH client, is so you can connect to that Linux machine. And here you would choose your installation package. Since I'm on a Windows 64, I choose this one. I'm going to save this onto the desktop again, just so I can get to it easily. And there it is. We're going to double click it to run it. I'm going to go through the installation. And I forgot, I had already installed PuTTY on here. So this machine already has PuTTY. If it didn't, you would just go through the defaults, hit next, 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 and then it's done. So once it has been installed, you can come and find it over here in the Windows. It's this PuTTY menu. The first thing you're going to want to do is not run PuTTY itself, but you want to run this program it also includes, which is PuTTYgen. And this generates a public and private RSA token, so you can have the PuTTY session that you're going to be running connected to your VPS, and only you can connect, because you're going to set up sort of a secure channel, well, a public and private key. That way if somebody else tried to connect, they would need that private key to connect to your VPS machine. It's just an added layer of security. So to create this RSA key, you're going to go to generate, and then just move your mouse around. It says right there, just keep moving your mouse randomly until the bar is filled up. Alright, so now it has created my public key here, and there's a private key which you can't see. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to put a passphrase on my private key. So this will encrypt my private key, another added layer of security. And that way if anyone ever gets access to my private key, they still can't log into my VPS because they don't have my password. So basically everything you're doing is you're creating files that are making security, but you're putting passwords on those files. So if somebody gets access to the file, if they don't have the password, they can't get into that file. It just double security on everything. So I'm going to create a very simple password for this example, but I do not want you to create a simple password. You want to create something complex. And you know, some people that create, if this is a node that you're running that is worth a lot of money, you want to make sure and have a very complicated password. Lots of people say use an actual passphrase. This is saying not a password, about a passphrase. So words, a big long string of words. But you got to remember what those words are, whatever your passphrase is. So you're going to also want to store that in a different location than your actual private key. So I have a password now. I'm going to save my public key onto the desktop in case I need to get to it. I'm just going to call it Worx pub key. And then the private key, when I save this, it's going to be an encrypted version of my private key, and that password is what allows me to get to it. So I'm going to call it Worx private key. That on the desktop also. And I'm going to leave this window open because in the next step after I set up my VPS, I'm going to want to copy this public key here in this format and not use that public key file. I'm going to use this format here because it likes this format. So I'm going to leave that up, and I'm going to pause the video for a minute, and then we're going to start setting up our VPS. Alright, so we have PuTTY installed. Now we're going to set up our VPS, and we're going to use a provider that I have a link to down here called Vultr. And if you want, you can use this is a referral link, so if you use it, I get a little bit of something if you whenever you make payments to them. But if you don't want to use the referral, you can just use the straight vultr.com, or if you have a friend that has a referral, use their referral link. It's up to you. But Vultr is the place I'm going to do it, and I already have an account, so I'm just going to log into my console there. And once you set up your Vultr account, the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to go to this billing tab, and you're going to add some sort of billing method, and you're going to have to prepay for the servers that you create. You pay for them by the hour, and they want you to prepay because that's the way they have it set up. So when you go to the billing, you'll add, say 10 or 25 bucks, and 10 bucks is perfectly fine because we're going to set up a $5 a month server. So if you throw in $10, you have at least a month's worth, and then if you decide to keep using this service, then you can add some more money. Once you set up the billing, you're going to come over here to the servers tab, and then you want to click this SSH keys because we're going to set up that key that we just created. So hit that, you hit add SSH key, and the name of this is going to be the MasterNode we're setting up. So Worx MasterNode 1. If you're going to set up multiple Worx MasterNodes, I would suggest you create multiple public-private keys, RSA keys, because that way if one of them gets compromised, they're not all compromised. It's a little bit of extra work, but if something ever happened, it saves you a huge headache. And your public key here is the value from this putty gen. So you copy everything from ssh.rsa, that entire thing, paste it in here, and you say add. If you did it right, it says SSH key added. So now we have added our key so we can connect to this instance that we create. This VPS we create is called an instance. Each one of these machines that you create, it's a virtual private server. Each one, they call it an instance. So you want to hit this plus button to create the new instance. You're going to choose your continent and then choose a location that's close to you. I'm going to leave New York. And you want to choose the type is Ubuntu 16.04 64-bit. And then the size, we're going to go with a $5 a month. You can try the $250 a month. The difference is the memory. This one has 500 megs of memory. This has a gig. You can probably run some of these coins on the $250 a month, but I know for sure that the $5 a month works, and I know this setup works, so I suggest for your first one, go with the $5. If you learn that everything's working great and you want to go for another one, you could try the $250, see if it works, but I know it works on the $5. And there's additional features. You don't really need these. You might want to go with the auto backups. What that does is it'll make backups, so if anything ever happens to your server, you can restore, and you don't have to go through all these steps that we're going to go through right now again. And that's only $1 a month. That's probably worth it. The DDoS protection, I don't know if that's worth it for most of the coins out here. I have heard of people attacking other people's masternodes just to block them from getting rewards. So if you see that happening, you might have to enable this, but it's so expensive that, unless your coin's making a lot of money, it may not be worth it. So start with not having it, and then if you start seeing people attacking you, then you'll probably want to go and enable it on your next one. And you don't need a startup script. And then you have your SSH keys. Since we already added one, this one's here for us to choose. You click that. Then you're going to give your machine a name, and I'm just going to give it the same name. And you double check here, you're going to add one server, and it's $5 a month. And you can hit deploy now. And here's the status of this server. You can watch it go from installing. It should go to a few different statuses, and when it's ready, then we can connect to it with our putty session. So I'm just going to let this sit for a minute and let it load that up. Alright, so it says it's running. If we click here, we can get a better status. Once we get to this screen, once you see this, it says it may be finishing up, but I know once it shows this screen, it's not. So that means you are good to go, and we can connect to it. So what we want to do is open putty to connect to it. So you go into putty, and this time we're going to choose the real program, putty, the full version. And in here, you're going to want to set up the server. The first thing you're going to want to set up is the IP address, and that's located here on this server info screen. So you copy the address, you paste it in there, and then you need to set up that RSA token because we had set this up with RSA, and we need to come in here and set up our private key so we can connect to that public key that's associated with this server. So you come into this connection area, hit SSH, and then hit the auth. And in here is where you browse to that private key. And we saved it on the desktop. So we set the private key. And then I come back up here to this session tab, and I'm going to save this session. It just really saves this configuration, so if I need to connect again in the future, I can easily get to it without resetting this up. So MasterNode 1, hit save. So in the future, if ever I want to open this, I open PuTTY, I highlight this one and hit load. It'll load this configuration. But now that we have the configuration, we can just hit open. And it's going to give you a warning about the server's host key. We know that we're connecting to this secure place, so we're going to hit yes. If you're connecting to somebody said, hey, connect to this, or you don't know if it's good, you might want to check this out before you hit yes, but I know this is a safe one, so I'm hitting yes. And what we want to log in is root. So you hit root, and then it asks you for the passphrase for your RSA key. That's the passphrase we entered when we did this PuTTY gen, and we put the passphrase here. It's not the password here specified in the screen. It's the password for your RSA key. So I know the password for my RSA key, and so you just enter it there. And you get to this screen. This is the command prompt. Everything looks good. We are logged in as root. So now we can start entering our commands. And I'm going to have all these commands for you down in the comments section under this Linux commands area. And so what you want to do is there's only 2 commands for you to enter. So you want to highlight this each line one at a time and copy it. And to paste into PuTTY, you right click once, right where the cursor is. You just right click. You don't choose any options. You don't use any Control V, Control C, any of that type of things in PuTTY. You only use your right click for pasting. And I'll show you how to copy in a later step. But to paste right now, you just right click one time and it pastes it, and then you hit the enter key. And then you go get the next command. So that downloaded the installer script, and now we're going to run the installer script. So this second command will run it. So you right click once and then hit enter, and then it's going to run through the installation process. So we're just going to sit back and wait for this process to finish. So I'm going to sit back and I'll speed up the video a little bit so you can get through it a little bit quicker. And at this prompt, you do not want to specify the private key. We're going to let the VPS wallet specify the private key. So right here, you just hit the enter key on the keyboard. Don't type anything, just hit the enter key. And it's going to start up the background daemon. And once that's started, we'll move on to the next step. And now once you get to this command prompt again, and you see this screen, that means it has finished installing the VPS wallet, and it has started the daemon. So your wallet is now running on your VPS. So we are good to go to move on to the next step. The next step here is to connect our local wallet to the VPS daemon wallet. And to connect those 2 wallets together, what you want to do is come back into your local wallet here and go to Tools, open MasterNode configuration file. And this is the first time I've opened one of these types. So if your computer doesn't know what type of program to open this with, then you just want to choose Notepad. And I always say always use this to open these types of files. And what you want to put in this configuration file is located down in the comments. I have a sort of an example of what to do, and we're going to fill in the parts of this. So just copy this entire line paste it in here. And the first piece of information we want to put is called the alias. This is the alias you're going to give your MasterNode, and it's really just a friendly name. So when you're in your local wallet, you can see this friendly name, and it needs to be unique for your wallet, but no one else is going to see this name. So you can call it whatever you want, no one else will know what it's called, but it needs to be unique in your wallet. So if you're setting up 3 or 4 of these MasterNodes, you want to have each one in your wallet with a different name. The second piece of information is this VPS IP address. And to get to that, you go back to your PuTTY window, and it is listed here on the VPS IP, and it has the port number, but we don't really need to copy the port because I have it here. So to copy out of PuTTY, what you want to do is left click and drag to highlight, and then when you let go of the left click or the left mouse button, it automatically copies into your clipboard. So you just let go, and then it's now in my clipboard, so I can come back over here and I can do a paste. And you could have typed that manually if you want, but this next piece of information you really can't type manually. That's this MasterNode gen key value, and that is also a MasterNode private key. They're the same thing. The gen key is when you run the gen key command in your wallet, it generates a private key for your MasterNode. It's not the same as your private keys for your addresses. It's a completely different thing, but it's also a private key that you don't want to be sharing with anyone. So the MasterNode private key is the same thing as the MasterNode gen key, but it's not the same as your private keys for your addresses. So just remember that. So to copy from here, we want to left click and drag to highlight the whole thing, let go of the left click, and then we can come back here and paste that. And now we got that value. And then next we need the output transaction ID. So what that is the transaction ID of the collateral deposit you made to your collateral address. And to get that in the, let's go back to the wallet, you go to Tools, Debug, and then the console. And in here you type MasterNode outputs. And it gives you 2 pieces of information. The first is the transaction ID of your collateral deposit, and then a number over here. It's either going to be a 0 or a 1. In this case it's a 1. We're going to need that in a second, but first we'll just copy that, and that is called your MasterNode outputs transaction ID value. Paste that there, and then this last piece of information is that output 01 value. So ours is 1 in this case, so up here I'm going to just put a 1, and this looks good. So we can save this MasterNode config and close it. We don't need this debug window. Now we have this wallet with the MasterNode config set up. We're going to need to restart this wallet. So we're going to go to File, Exit. I'm just going to minimize that VPS browser. Give this a second for the wallet to close and finish up, and then run it again. And this time let it sync up. All of this info down here is going to sync up some sort of MasterNode info, all kinds of stuff. Just let it sync before we move on and do anything else. Alright, so now it has synced up. You notice here that this wallet is locked right now. I'm going to unlock the wallet just so I can enable that MasterNode and not have to worry about it being locked. Now I hover over it again, unlocked. Now we go to our MasterNodes tab, and you can see this MasterNode now is the one we put into the config file is now listed here, but it says missing. So what you want to do is just highlight it, and you can hit start alias, you can hit start missing, you can hit start all. I'm just going to hit start all, and it says successfully started one MasterNode, and now it has moved to enabled, and you now know that your MasterNode is up and running, and you're good to go. So now all you need to do is wait for your first reward. Sometimes that first reward takes a long time. I wouldn't be too concerned until maybe 8 to 10 hours, maybe 12 hours. Usually I just let it run overnight, and you should start seeing rewards. If you don't see rewards after about 12 hours, maybe go into the Discord server and ask some people, see what's going on. One thing you can do, once you do have this MasterNode set up, you want to make sure that it's actually visible out on the network. An easy way to do that is look on the Block Explorer. So in the comments section, I have a link here to the Block Explorer. And what you can do is go take a look at the Block Explorer. And on the Block Explorer, there is a MasterNodes tab here. You click the MasterNodes tab. And then what you can do is get your IP address of your MasterNode, which is the VPS IP address there, or you can look right here, 207.148.2.9. I just need to remember the first few is 207.148.2.9. I'm going to come over here and search for it, 207.148.2.9, and you see it is showing up, and you see that it's been active just now, so we know this is ours. Shows enabled. This tells me that the network can see our MasterNode, and everything should be set up perfectly. It looks like it's all good, and we should start getting rewards here pretty soon. Well, within 12 hours, I would say. And that is it. Your MasterNode is up and running.